Chosen one, stop for a moment. Do not rush past these words. Take one slow breath, let your shoulders fall, and allow yourself to become completely still for just a moment. Because there are seasons in life when something begins changing before you have any visible evidence that anything has changed at all. The door has not opened yet. The opportunity has not appeared yet. The answer has not arrived in your hands yet. And still, something inside you begins to whisper. Something is different. You may not know how to explain it. You may not have proof. You may not even trust yourself enough to say it out loud. But somewhere beneath the noise, beneath the disappointment, beneath everything you have survived, there is a quiet awareness that the season you have been living in cannot continue forever. And perhaps that is why you are here. Not because these words can predict your future, not because anyone can promise you exactly what tomorrow will bring, but because sometimes a message reaches you at the exact moment you need permission to stop living, as though yesterday is the only evidence of what tomorrow can become. So listen carefully. The door you have been praying for may not look the way you imagined. And that is the first thing you need to understand. Because you have been watching one particular door for so long that you may have forgotten to notice the other doors opening around you. You have been waiting for one phone call, one person, one opportunity, one financial breakthrough, one relationship, one answer, one moment that finally proves that everything you endured was worth it. And because your attention has been fixed on that one outcome, you may have missed something important. Sometimes God does not open the door you keep staring at. Sometimes He changes the hallway. Sometimes the answer arrives disguised as an ending. Sometimes protection looks like rejection. Sometimes preparation looks like delay. Sometimes redirection feels exactly like disappointment. And sometimes the greatest blessing in your next season begins with the courage to stop forcing an old door open. Chosen one, there is something you need to release before you can fully recognize what is next. You need to release the belief that your future must look like your original plan. Because the version of your future you imagined years ago was created by a version of you who had not yet experienced everything you have experienced. That person did not know what you know now. That person had different priorities, different fears, different expectations, different definitions of success. You are not the same person anymore. And perhaps the reason the old dream no longer fits is not because you failed. Perhaps you outgrew it. Think about that. What if the thing you keep calling a delay is actually a transition? What if the silence you keep interpreting as abandonment is simply the space between one chapter and another? What if the emptiness around you is creating room for something that could not have entered while your hands were full of everything you were afraid to lose? This is where your story begins to change. Not when everything outside of you changes, but when you stop allowing everything outside of you to determine who you are. For a long time, you may have measured your life by what had not happened. You looked at the unanswered prayer, the closed opportunity, the failed relationship, the financial pressure, the dream that seemed to disappear. And every time you looked at those things, you quietly formed another conclusion about yourself. Maybe I am behind. Maybe I missed my moment. Maybe I am not capable. Maybe God forgot me. Maybe everyone else is moving forward while I am standing still. But today, I want you to challenge that conclusion. Because a closed chapter is not proof of a closed future. A delayed answer is not proof that your life has been denied. And an unanswered question is not proof that there is no answer. You are allowed to be in the middle. You are allowed to not know yet. You are allowed to walk through a season where the map is incomplete. Faith does not always mean knowing exactly where the road leads. Sometimes faith means taking the next honest step without demanding the entire blueprint first. That is the door. The first door is not outside you. The first door is the one inside your mind. It is the door between who you have been and who you are becoming. And before you ask God to open something in your circumstances, you may need to stop closing the door on yourself, because you have done that more times than you realize. You talked yourself out of opportunities before anyone else could reject you. You stayed quiet because you were afraid your voice would be judged. You postponed the project because you were afraid it would not be perfect. You remained in familiar situations because unfamiliar freedom felt more frightening than familiar limitation. You called it patience. But sometimes it was fear wearing the clothes of patience. You called it humility, but sometimes it was insecurity pretending to be humility. You called it waiting for the right time, but sometimes the right time was simply the moment you decided to begin. Chosen one. This does not mean you should force every opportunity or chase every impulse. It means you must learn the difference between waiting with wisdom and hiding behind fear. There is a difference. A seed does not become weak because it spends time underground. It is preparing. But eventually, the seed must break the surface. There comes a moment when preparation becomes movement. There comes a moment when learning becomes application. There comes a moment when prayer becomes obedience. And perhaps you are standing at that moment now, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand enough to take the next step. You have been asking for a sign. Maybe the sign is not a spectacular event. Maybe the sign is the clarity you have developed. Maybe the sign is the peace you now have about something you once could not let go of. Maybe the sign is the fact that you no longer want what you once begged for. Maybe the sign is that you have stopped chasing people who repeatedly showed you they could not meet you where you were going. Maybe the sign is that you are finally willing to choose purpose over approval. Pay attention. Transformation is often quieter than we expect. It does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it sounds like, I cannot live like this anymore. Sometimes it sounds like, I need to begin. Sometimes it sounds like, I forgive you, but I will not return to the same place. Sometimes it sounds like, I do not need everyone to understand me. Sometimes it sounds like, I trust God enough to take the next step. That is where your next season begins. And I want you to remember something when the next door appears. Do not reject it because it does not resemble the door you prayed for. You may have asked for a destination. God may give you a direction. You may have asked for a finished result. You may receive an opportunity to build it. You may have asked for financial freedom. The first answer may look like a skill you need to learn. You may have asked for purpose. The answer may begin as a problem you are uniquely equipped to solve. You may have asked for meaningful relationships. The first answer may be learning how to stop accepting relationships that constantly drain you. You may have asked for peace. The answer may require boundaries. You may have asked for confidence. The answer may require doing something while still feeling afraid. This is why you must stop demanding that your blessing arrive in a particular package. A package can change. A destination can change. A timeline can change. But the growth taking place inside you can become permanent. And that is what matters. Because if you receive something before you are ready to carry it, the very thing you called a blessing can become another source of chaos. A larger opportunity requires greater responsibility. Greater influence requires greater character. Greater resources require greater wisdom. Greater relationships require greater emotional maturity. Greater freedom requires greater discipline. So perhaps your preparation was not punishment. Perhaps you were becoming capable of carrying what you kept asking for. Look at Joseph. His story did not move directly from the dream to the palace. There was a pit. There was betrayal. There was uncertainty. There was imprisonment. There were years when the promise seemed disconnected from his circumstances. But the difficult seasons developed qualities that would later matter when responsibility arrived. The story is powerful, not because it gives you a guarantee that every dream will happen exactly as imagined. It is powerful because it reminds you that your current location does not necessarily define your final capacity. You can be in a difficult chapter and still be developing something valuable. You can be overlooked and still be learning. You can be rejected and still be growing. You can be delayed and still be moving. You can be uncertain and still be faithful. That is what you need to remember. Your current chapter is not the entire book. And now, we need to talk about something deeper. Because there is another reason you may not recognize the door when it opens. You may be looking for comfort when the opportunity requires courage. You may be looking for certainty when the opportunity requires trust. You may be looking for applause when the opportunity requires discipline. You may be looking for someone to rescue you when the opportunity requires you to take responsibility for your own next step. This is uncomfortable, but growth often is. The door may open quietly. There may be no audience, no dramatic music, no announcement. No one may even understand why you are excited. It could simply be an email, a conversation, a skill, an idea, a person, a small opportunity, a decision, a business concept, a creative project, a chance to start again. And your old mindset may look at it and say, that is too small. But never underestimate small beginnings. A massive tree begins with something that looks insignificant. A business begins with an idea. A career begins with a skill. A relationship begins with a conversation. A movement begins with one person deciding that something needs to change. A new life can begin with one decision. That decision may be yours. So when the door appears, do not ask only, is this big enough? Ask, is this aligned with the person I am becoming? Does this move me toward responsibility? Does this help me serve? Does this require me to grow? Does this create something valuable? Does this bring peace rather than constant confusion? Does it allow me to become more honest, more disciplined, more courageous? Those questions can protect you from confusing excitement with direction. Because not every open door is your door. Some doors open because you are supposed to walk through them. Others open so you can finally understand why you should not. Wisdom is knowing the difference. And that brings us to another important lesson. You do not need to chase every opportunity simply because it appears. You do not need to prove that you are chosen by saying yes to everything. You do not need to accept every invitation. You do not need to explain every boundary. You do not need to convince everyone of your value. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is no. No to distraction. No to manipulation. No to constant comparison. No to relationships that repeatedly violate your boundaries. No to habits that steal your future. No to the version of yourself that keeps choosing temporary comfort over long-term purpose. Your future requires space, and space requires subtraction. You cannot add a new life while protecting every old habit. Something must change. Maybe it is your schedule. Maybe it is your environment. Maybe it is your attention. Maybe it is the people you constantly listen to. Maybe it is your relationship with your phone. Maybe it is your fear of failure. Maybe it is your habit of waiting until you feel ready. The door may already be unlocked, but you are still standing outside because you are waiting for permission to become someone who can walk through it. Let me tell you something. You do not need to become fearless. You need to become willing. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. David did not become courageous because Goliath became small. David moved while the giant still looked enormous. Peter did not step onto the water because the storm disappeared first. He stepped because he trusted the voice calling him forward. Esther did not know every detail of what would happen before she acted. She moved with courage into uncertainty. And that is the kind of courage your next season may require. Not reckless confidence, not pretending you know everything, just enough courage to take the next right step. You have spent too much time waiting for perfect conditions. There will always be another reason to delay. There will always be another criticism, another fear, another uncertainty, another person who does not understand, another problem to solve. If you wait until everything is perfect, you may spend your entire life standing at the threshold. At some point, you have to move. Not because you know everything, because you know enough, and perhaps you know enough now. Now listen closely, because this is where many people sabotage their own breakthrough. They finally receive an opportunity, and instead of accepting it, they immediately ask, what if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I lose money? What if people laugh? What if I am not good enough? What if it does not work? But there is another question you must learn to ask. What if it does? What if the thing you are afraid to begin becomes the thing that changes your life? What if the person you are afraid to become is exactly the person you need to become? What if the life you keep imagining requires you to stop protecting the version of yourself that was built for survival? You cannot build a new future while constantly negotiating with an old identity. At some point, you must say, I am ready to grow. Not perfect, ready. There is a difference. You do not need to know every step. You need to know the next step. And after that step, the next one becomes visible. That is how many journeys work. The road reveals itself through movement, not all at once. One step, then another, then another. And suddenly, you look back and realize you have traveled farther than you thought possible. This is why you cannot despise the small steps. Your breakthrough may not begin with a breakthrough. It may begin with consistency. 1 hour of focused work, 1 honest conversation, 1 application, 1 video, 1 book, 1 lesson, 1 healthy boundary, 1 prayer, 1 disciplined morning, 1 decision to stop returning to the same destructive cycle. Do not underestimate the power of repeated small decisions. They become identity. Identity becomes behavior. Behavior becomes results. Results become a new life. And perhaps that is what the door represents. Not magic, movement, not instant transformation, alignment, not a guarantee that everything will suddenly become easy, but an invitation to participate in the future you keep asking for. God can open doors, but you still have to walk. You still have to learn. You still have to work. You still have to make decisions. You still have to take responsibility. Faith is not an excuse for passivity. Faith can give you the courage to act. And now, think about the door you have been praying for. Bring it to mind. What is it? Do not answer with a vague word like success. Be specific. Is it financial stability, a business, a relationship, a creative dream, a career, a ministry, a new environment, a healthier life, a chance to start again? What does that door represent to you? Now ask yourself something difficult. If that door opened tomorrow, would I actually be ready? Would my habits support it? Would my character support it? Would my discipline support it? Would my relationships support it? Would my mind support it? Would I know what to do next? Because sometimes the answer to delayed prayers is not simply no. Sometimes the answer is prepare. Prepare because what you are asking for will require something from you. If you want wealth, learn financial discipline. If you want a business, learn to solve problems. If you want influence, learn communication. If you want a meaningful relationship, learn emotional responsibility. If you want physical strength, train consistently. If you want spiritual depth, build a genuine practice instead of chasing emotional highs. If you want freedom, stop making decisions that create new chains. Preparation turns possibility into capacity, and capacity changes everything. Now, there is another door we need to discuss. The door of forgiveness. Not forgiveness that excuses harmful behavior. Not forgiveness that forces you back into unhealthy situations, but forgiveness that releases your future from the grip of your past. You cannot keep giving yesterday permission to define tomorrow. Someone may have hurt you. Someone may have betrayed you. Someone may have misunderstood you. Someone may have walked away. You may have made mistakes yourself. But at some point, you have to stop carrying every old wound as evidence against your future. You can learn from it without living inside it. You can remember without returning. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can love someone and still choose distance. You can acknowledge what happened and still decide, this is not where my story ends. That decision is powerful because bitterness consumes energy, and your next season needs energy. Your attention is valuable. Your time is valuable. Your mind is valuable. Do not spend all three replaying conversations that cannot be changed. You have a future to build, and the future requires your presence. So release what you can, not because it did not matter, because you matter too. Now, perhaps you have been asking, why did God allow the door to remain closed for so long? I cannot give you a guaranteed explanation for every event in your life. No one can honestly do that. But there is something you can know. A closed door can teach you things an open door never could. It can teach patience, discernment, resilience, self-knowledge, humility, perseverance. It can teach you to distinguish desire from purpose. It can teach you that not every rejection is a verdict on your worth. It can teach you to stop begging for access to places where you are not valued. It can teach you to build from within, and those lessons can become part of the person who walks through the next door. Maybe that is why you feel different now. You have learned, you have lost, you have rebuilt, you have questioned, you have prayed, you have continued, and continuing matters. There were days when you did not feel powerful. There were days when you did not feel chosen. There were days when you questioned everything, and still, you continued. Do not erase those days. They are part of your strength. Your strength is not only the days you felt confident. Your strength includes the days you moved while uncertain. Your faith is not only the moments when everything made sense. Your faith includes the moments when you kept walking without a clear explanation. That is maturity. And now perhaps You are entering a season where you no longer need dramatic signs. You need wisdom. You need clarity. You need discipline. You need peace. You need courage. You need to recognize the opportunity when it arrives. Because the door may be closer than you think. It may not be somewhere in the distant future. It may be attached to something already in your hands. Your talent, your knowledge, your story, your experience, your ability to communicate, your ability to create, your ability to solve a problem, your willingness to serve. Something you have been overlooking may be the seed of what you have been praying for. So look again. Look at your skills. Look at your relationships. Look at your environment. Look at the problems people around you keep facing. Look at what you can do better than you realize. Look at what you naturally care about. Look at what you can learn. Look at what you have already survived. Sometimes purpose hides inside the things you thought were merely experiences. Your struggle can teach you empathy. Your failure can teach you strategy. Your confusion can teach you curiosity. Your rejection can teach you discernment. Your rebuilding can teach you resilience. Your story can eventually become useful to someone else. But do not rush to turn every wound into content. Heal first. Understand first. Grow first. Then share from wisdom, rather than from an open wound. That distinction matters. Now, chosen one, there is something else. Stop comparing your timeline to everyone else's. You are destroying your peace by measuring your chapter against someone else's highlight reel. Someone may appear ahead. Someone may be younger. Someone may be richer. Someone may have more subscribers. Someone may have a better career. Someone may have the relationship you wanted. Someone may appear to have everything. You do not know the full story, and even if you did, their path is not your assignment. Comparison turns blessings into evidence against yourself. You see what they have and forget what you have. You see their arrival and forget your preparation. You see their harvest and ignore their years of planting. Your responsibility is not to outrun everyone. Your responsibility is to become faithful with what is in your hands. Run your race. Build your life. Develop your character. Stay teachable. Stay humble. Stay courageous. And keep moving. The door is not opened by comparison. It is opened by preparation, meeting opportunity. That is a powerful equation. Preparation plus opportunity creates momentum, and momentum can change everything. But momentum also requires consistency. Do not expect one emotional moment to transform your entire life. Emotion can start movement. Discipline sustains it. You may watch this message and feel inspired. Good. But tomorrow morning, the real test begins. Will you do something with that inspiration? Will you take one step? Will you make one decision? Will you begin? Will you continue? Because your future does not change simply because you heard a powerful message. It changes when your choices change. And that is not discouraging. It is empowering. Because it means you are not helpless. You have agency. You can choose. You can learn. You can build. You can apologize. You can set boundaries. You can begin again. You can ask for help. You can change your environment. You can develop new habits. You can pursue wisdom. You can seek God sincerely. You can stop repeating what keeps hurting you. You can walk. And sometimes walking is the miracle. Now imagine that the door finally opens. Not because someone promised it would, but because you prepared for it. You received the opportunity. And instead of panicking, you are ready. Instead of shrinking, you step forward. Instead of asking whether you deserve it, you ask how you can steward it well. Instead of trying to prove yourself, you focus on serving. Instead of chasing validation, you focus on value. Instead of fearing responsibility, you embrace it. That is the person you are becoming. And perhaps that is what this season has really been about. Not simply getting something, becoming someone. A person who can hold responsibility without losing themselves. A person who can receive success without becoming arrogant. A person who can experience rejection without becoming bitter. A person who can receive abundance without becoming controlled by money. A person who can experience influence without becoming addicted to attention. A person who can love without losing boundaries. A person who can lead without needing to dominate. A person who can walk away without hatred. A person who can wait without becoming passive. A person who can act without becoming reckless. That is maturity, and maturity is valuable. Now perhaps you are wondering, how will I know when the door is right? There may not be a perfect formula, but there are signs worth paying attention to. Does the opportunity require you to betray your values? Be careful. Does it demand constant chaos? Be careful. Does it isolate you from everyone who genuinely cares about you? Be careful. Does it promise instant riches with no real value created? Be careful. Does it require secrecy that makes you uncomfortable? Be careful. Does it manipulate your fear? Be careful. Does it make you feel pressured to decide immediately? Pause. A healthy opportunity can survive thoughtful consideration. And on the other hand, does it challenge you to grow? Does it create genuine value? Does it align with your principles? Does it require responsibility? Does it leave room for wisdom? Does it encourage learning? Does it create sustainable progress? Does it bring a sense of meaningful direction rather than frantic desperation? Those are better questions. Do not confuse adrenaline with alignment. Not everything that feels exciting is good. Not everything that feels difficult is bad. Sometimes the right door is intimidating, but there is a difference between healthy challenge and destructive chaos. Learn that difference. Your next season requires discernment, and discernment grows through experience, reflection, prayer, wise counsel, and honest observation. You do not need to become suspicious of everything. You need to become awake. There is a difference. Be awake to your patterns. Be awake to opportunities. Be awake to manipulation. Be awake to your own fears. Be awake to your strengths. Be awake to the people who consistently show you who they are. And be awake to the possibility that life can become different. Now take another breath, because I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing, I am no longer waiting for permission. I am building. I am no longer asking whether I belong. I am contributing. I am no longer obsessed with proving myself. I am focused on becoming useful. I am no longer chasing every person who walks away. I am protecting my peace. I am no longer living entirely in the past. I am present. I am no longer afraid of every closed door. I understand that redirection exists. I am no longer waiting for perfect conditions. I am taking the next step. That is freedom. And freedom does not mean you never struggle again. It means struggle no longer gets to define your identity. You can have a difficult day without becoming a hopeless person. You can experience failure without becoming a failure. You can lose an opportunity without losing your purpose. You can experience rejection without losing your worth. You can make a mistake without becoming your mistake. That is what you need to carry through the next door, because the next season will still contain challenges. Do not believe anyone who tells you that becoming aligned means life becomes permanently easy. Growth creates new responsibilities. Success creates new problems. Leadership creates new pressure. Relationships require communication. Business requires decisions. Money requires discipline. Influence requires responsibility. Your goal is not a life without challenges. Your goal is a life where challenges no longer control you. And perhaps you are ready for that. You have survived enough to know that difficulty is not the end. You have already walked through things you once believed you could not survive. And you are still here. That matters. Now, if you are a person of faith, let this be your prayer. God, give me the wisdom to recognize the doors that are right for me. Give me courage to walk through them. Give me discernment to recognize the doors that should remain closed. Give me patience when I cannot see the entire path. Give me discipline to prepare while I wait. Give me humility when opportunity comes. Give me strength to handle responsibility. Give me peace when plans change. Help me release what is no longer mine to carry. Help me stop confusing delay with rejection. Help me stop comparing my timeline to someone else's. Help me become the kind of person who can steward what I have been asking for. And if the door I have been praying for is not the door you intend for me, give me enough wisdom to recognize the better direction without resentment. Amen. Now listen carefully. Your declaration should not be, "Everything will happen exactly how I want." Instead, let your declaration be, "I am ready for the next right step. I am willing to grow. I am willing to learn. I am willing to release what no longer serves my purpose. I am willing to walk through the doors that align with my values. I am willing to close doors that repeatedly lead me backward. I am willing to trust God without pretending that I know everything. I am willing to build. I am willing to become." That is a powerful declaration because it puts responsibility back into your hands, and perhaps that is what you needed. Not another prediction, not another promise about a specific date, not another person telling you exactly what your future will look like. You needed permission to move. So move. Start the thing. Make the call. Learn the skill. Write the plan. Create the first version. Apply. Practice. Pray. Ask wise people for advice. Take the next step. And if the first attempt fails, learn. Failure does not automatically mean the door was wrong. Sometimes the first attempt teaches you how to enter properly. Do not quit because the first version was imperfect. Adjust, improve, continue. The person who keeps learning becomes dangerous to stagnation, and that is where your power is. Not in being magically protected from every problem, in becoming capable of meeting problems with wisdom. Chosen one. The door is not simply an object waiting somewhere outside you. The door is also a decision to stop returning to what destroys your peace, a decision to stop shrinking, a decision to stop waiting for everyone's approval, a decision to stop calling fear discernment, a decision to stop confusing attention with love, a decision to stop confusing money with worth, a decision to stop confusing productivity with purpose, a decision to stop confusing loneliness with failure, a decision to stop confusing a closed chapter with a closed life. That decision can become the beginning. And perhaps you have been waiting for a sign. Here is your sign. Begin where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you do not know. Ask for wisdom. Take the next right step. Then take another. You do not need the entire staircase. You need the next step. And when you take it, something changes. Not necessarily outside you, inside you. You become someone who moves, someone who acts, someone who trusts, someone who learns, someone who builds. And once you become that person, opportunities become easier to recognize because you are no longer staring only at the outcome. You are watching for the next assignment. That is a completely different way to live. Now, maybe the door is already near you. Maybe it is the idea you keep postponing. Maybe it is the conversation you keep avoiding. Maybe it is the application you have not submitted. Maybe it is the habit you need to stop. Maybe it is the skill you need to learn. Maybe it is the person you need to forgive. Maybe it is the environment you need to leave. Maybe it is the project you need to start. Maybe it is simply the decision to believe that your past is not the ceiling of your future. Look again. The door may be closer than you think, and when you find it, do not demand that it look familiar. Walk with wisdom. Walk with humility. Walk with courage. Walk with faith. And remember, a door opening does not mean you will never struggle again. It means you have been given a new opportunity to respond differently. That is where transformation happens. You have been asking for a new season. Perhaps the new season begins with a new response. The same problem, a different response. The same rejection, a different response. The same uncertainty, a different response. The same fear, a different response. That is growth. And eventually, your circumstances begin to reflect the decisions you have been making consistently. Your life begins to look different because you became different. Not overnight, but step by step. And one day you look back and realize, the door did not suddenly save me. I became ready to walk through it. That realization is powerful, because it means you were not merely waiting for life to happen to you. You were participating. You were preparing. You were building. You were becoming. So do not be discouraged by the quiet season. Use it. Do not waste the waiting. Build in it. Do not waste the pain. Learn from it. Do not waste the rejection. Let it refine your discernment. Do not waste the uncertainty. Let it teach you patience. Do not waste the opportunity. Steward it. And do not waste the next chapter by constantly staring backward at the previous one. Your attention belongs in the present. Your lessons belong in the past. Your hope belongs in the future. And your action belongs today. That is where your power is. Today. Not someday. Today. One step, one choice, one act of courage, one honest prayer, one focused hour, one disciplined decision, one beginning. That can be enough. So if this message found you during a season when you feel like nothing is moving, remember this. Movement is not always visible. Roots grow underground. Foundations form beneath the surface. Character develops quietly. Skills develop through repetition. Wisdom develops through experience. And sometimes, the most important work happening in your life is work nobody else can see. Do not despise that. You do not need applause for preparation. You need preparation. You do not need everyone to understand the process. You need to remain faithful to what you know is right. And when the opportunity comes, you will not need to convince everyone. You will simply know what the next step is. So stand up. Not physically if you cannot. Stand up inside yourself. Stand up from the identity that says, I am behind. Stand up from, I am not enough. Stand up from, it is too late. Stand up from, everyone else has already won. Stand up from, my past has decided my future. Stand up from, I need everyone to approve. Stand up from, I cannot begin until I am perfect. You do not need those beliefs anymore. You can carry the lessons without carrying the limitations. You can remember the past without living there. You can honor what happened without allowing it to become your identity. You can walk forward. And perhaps that is the message you needed today. The door is not a promise that everything will happen instantly. It is an invitation to stop standing still. Your next chapter deserves participation. Your purpose deserves discipline. Your future deserves courage. And your life deserves more than constant fear of what might go wrong. So when the door appears, breathe. Look carefully. Ask wise key.